For spells that can break when damage is affected to them, such as Frost Nova, Fear, Entangling Roots, the damage they can take before it breaks is based on a percentage value of their health, not the actual amount of health. This means that typically elite enemies are going to be able to take a lot more damage than a normal mob will before the CC breaks. A lot of these same spells are also affected by Heartbeat Resist, which means that the enemy, depending on their level to yours, if they're like higher level, or if they have a high resistance to the school of magic that the spell is casted from, some dice are rolled and the NPC has a chance of breaking out early, even when they don't receive damage. High volume items that you sell in the auction house should be listed for just 2 hours instead of 8. This is for a few reasons. Duration is obviously affects the deposit, which means you make even less money, especially if margins are already tight. But if your item that's high volume doesn't sell in 2 hours, either the price is too high or somebody undercutted you. So you're just going to want to relist them after that. The only time you really want to use 8 hour and 24 hour are on lower volume items or equipment, perhaps, would be fine. If you use Auctionator like me, you can go into the settings, configure, and you can make it so your default post time is just 2 hours. I strongly recommend this for the majority of the items in the game. This tip may be a little controversial, but this is particularly handy for mages. Enlightenment exists, well, it's called preparation, but mana doesn't cost anything the first 2 minutes of a battleground, which means you can conjure somewhere between like 250 to 300 food/water. This isn't as useful for most other classes, but I just wanted to make note of this for the fellow mage friends out there. Enable sound and background while fishing, so while you're fishing, you can alt-tab and learn how to play your class, and still hear the fishing bobber go off. Who the fuck's throwing their potions into the water? Alliance can utilize explosive rockets at very low levels to do incredible damage to a lot of enemies to vastly boost your XP an hour the first few levels or so.
I'm about to end this man's whole career.
You can get food for dramatically cheaper if you buy raw fish and cook it into its cooked variant. This is doubly useful for hunters to feed your pet. Hunter pets will eat food up to 30 levels lower below them, but it's important to note that every 10 levels will reduce the happiness value that they gain. The level requirement on food does not apply to pets though, however, so you can constantly feed a low-level pet very high-level food. Food up to 10 levels lower will grant the max happiness, which is 350 per feeding. Food that's 11 to 20 levels lower will grant 170, and between 21 and 31 levels lower, it'll grant 80. Because Spirit affects the health regeneration of Warrior and Rogue by a large margin compared to other classes, it's good to have a Spirit set of gear on you and sit. Because sitting increases your natural health regeneration by about 66% for these two classes, they gain a ridiculous amount of health from spirit gear while out of combat. This largely replaces the need for food, and is particularly useful in PvP for topping up between fights.
Number 9 large.
The AV PvP vendor sells extremely cheap heavy runecloth bandages you can use in the battleground. Miners and herbalists can go deep into caves to yoink rare nodes and then receive a layer hop from your guildmate or someone and get all the loot again. Nova Incest Tracker is the add-on that lets you see what layer you're on. Bank alts serve not just as a great way to store stuff, but to also send you items to a mailbox anywhere you are in the game. You basically have auction house access from anywhere you want. And then you can send stuff to your alt from anywhere in the world to go sell in the auction house so you can empty your inventory. Mailboxes also serve as a really great way of just storing items in general. You can send your alt a bunch of stuff that you want to use while leveling, for example, and just pull from the mail as needed. You don't need to grab everything. You can just leave this here. Items will stay for 30 days. Each piece of mail can send like 12 things of items. So just pull from here as you need, save yourself the inventory space, particularly while leveling. I appreciate this guy has given up completely. Alliance can abuse the Bring the Light quest to receive a powered Fortitude buff every single time you pick this quest up. Obviously, this requires you of never turning it in, but this is a permanent way to get a free priest buff. Almost every single fence in the world can be abused to trick enemies into chasing after you forever. This is very handy for not only getting away from enemies, but for any range classes that just don't want to take damage. The best way I've found to form a dungeon group, if you're missing, for example, like a tank and you're trying to do a level 26 dungeon, you can go into /who and type /who warrior 26 to 28, and now every single warrior that's online right now will show up in this list. Which you can then just whisper and invite them. I promise you, most people like to be invited, but not everyone's gonna say yes, but this will dramatically reduce the time it takes to find roles you need for your group. This also doubles as a way to control what class you're bringing into the dungeons. You don't stack multiple of the same classes, and like I mentioned in my previous tips video, you could reduce gear competition by carefully selecting who you're bringing with your group. For the non-cloth herbalists, you can equip a pair of Herbalist Gloves, enchant it with Advanced Herbalism, which will give you a plus 10 skill to Herbalism. This will make most races not fail to pick Mountain Silver Sage and Plague Boom when you're out there in the wild. If you're a Tauren, this will prevent you from failing Black Lotus. Braziers in the cities double as a cooking fire. If you're really thirsty for extra money, there are 2 chests that level 1 characters can very easily grab in these towers in EPL. You can just park a level 1 alt here and occasionally log in and get some free loot. Definitely not related to Sylvanas. You can fish to max level in every major city. The skill going up is based upon the amount of fish you catch, not the quality of the fish. Brand new orc control players, or bank alts, have a very easy way of obtaining a lot of cash really early on. There's a weapon crate right here that usually gives you a gray weapon or 2 that sells for a decent amount of money. From here, you can just teleport using your Hearthstone right back to the beginner zone for newfound riches. We have an additional friend. It's a dance party!